We are in 2022, and there are more advanced technologies than we could have imagined, not talking about flying cars or teleportation machines. What do you think the future of technology will look like? We will be looking at and debating future technologies that will affect the world as we travel deeper into the future. Have you heard of femtosecond projection 2-photon lithography? I'm sure you haven't. 3D printing is a solution in need of a problem, and the technology has struggled to find a market during the last decade. On the one hand, 3D printers remain too expensive for the average Joe. On the other hand, they are insufficiently complex and rapid for large-scale manufacturing businesses. This may change in the coming years, as researchers have discovered a technology that employs lasers to concurrently project millions of points onto 3D printing material, rather than one point at a time. They called it femtosecond projection TPL because they're lossy at branding. Next up, Wi-Fi. The name says it all. Wi-Fi intends to transport data from point A to point B using light. To transport data, the device encodes digital data and turns LED bulbs on and off more quickly than people can notice. The light is then directed to a photoreceptor, which decodes and converts the data to a more traditional radio frequency. Wi-Fi, 4G, 5G. The use of Wi-Fi necessitates the presence of a working light source. As a result, its range is quite limited, and it may interfere with other light sources, such as natural sunlight. There is even talk of employing it for unmanned underwater vehicles and streetlights, communicating with smart automobiles, and providing municipal services to citizens if the technology becomes more accessible. The energy-storing bricks are another thing we should look up to. Researchers have discovered a way to store energy in the cheap red bricks that have been used for centuries in construction around the world. This method works for two reasons. Bricks are permeable and contain hematite, which gives them their color. The biggest advantage of this future technology would be when it is employed in a house fitted with solar panels. The bricks might thus store unused electricity, compensating for the intermittent nature of renewable energy. This would make our dwellings more energy self-sufficient and less reliant on electric wires and/or lithium batteries. Discussions are currently underway with many companies in Europe and the United States to consider commercialization, and it is anticipated that the next generation of bricks will have a 50% increase in energy capacity, enough to power a laptop. Time will only tell. Robotic bees. Let's be honest. Did you get the wordplay? The climate isn't fantastic out there, and it is killing bees, which we require to pollinate 35% of our crops, which we require for food, which we require for survival. Are we going to halt climate change to save the bees? No way, that's not how we roll. Instead, we'll design robotic bees to pollinate plants in the same way that real bees do. By we, I mean Walmart. Although details are scant, most researchers believe the bees would function by attaching horsehair covered with ionic liquid gel to a tiny drone. The hair collects pollen from one bloom and transports it to the next. On top of that, Walmart provides a wide range of sensors, cameras, and artificial intelligence to detect important crops and pollinate them as needed. You'd be correct if that sounds like the idea of a Black Mirror episode. Small farmers may never be able to buy robotic bees, and we will be arming the big guy against the little guy once more. We also don't know how these bees will affect wildlife in general, both on and off the fields. Instead, how about we strive to conserve the real bees? Next up is the unnamed dynamic neural networks technology. Hidden layers in neural networks are used to break down information, the input images, sounds, videos, handwritten text, into tiny chunks of clearly understandable components, allowing a computer to predict the nature of this input. This is accomplished through the use of a diverse set of training data and mathematical models. As a result, it works similarly to our brain, hence the name of the technology. If you made it this far, you understand that it brings us much closer to understanding how the brain functions. The term comes from the fact that the marketers haven't gotten to this one yet. What comes to your mind when you hear seawater fuel? When it comes to energy, the sea remains a tremendous untapped resource. With the North Pole melting, we're not going to run out of it very soon. And according to researchers, it might soon be used as ship fuel. Ships can then use this hydrocarbon instead of pre-onboarded gasoline. which, as we all know, is fraught with danger. The gasoline needed to power the thousands of ships that sail the seas and oceans every day is extremely polluting. Carbon dioxide conversion into chemicals and value-added fuels could greatly cut greenhouse gas emissions in the long run. 20-minute water. The recipe was created specifically for impoverished countries where people lack access to chemical treatments such as chlorine. It has the potential to save some of the 300,000 children under the age of 5 who die each year from waterborne diseases such as cholera, typhoid, and hepatitis. It may also benefit some of the 2.2 billion individuals who do not have access to a wastewater treatment facility. Unlike the other improvements, this one has a few drawbacks. The amount of silver used for the nanowires is so small that the cost is insignificant, and the electricity required is simply supplied by a small solar panel or a pair of 12-volt automobile batteries. Because the filter does not trap germs, rather it kills them, it can have considerably wider holes, allowing water to pass through at a faster pace. To be precise, it is more than 80,000 times faster than conventional filters, and it does it without clogging, which is a problem with previous options. Zero knowledge proof. Have you ever heard of the term privacy? Computer scientists are working to build a cryptographic tool that would allow us to prove something without revealing the information underlying the proof. It sounds incredible, but it's not impossible once you understand the concept and realize it's a little more complicated than saying, "Come on, dude, you know I'm good at it." It's easy to think of some amazing usage cases. For example, if an app needs to know if you have enough money to complete a transaction, it might convey that yes, that is the case without providing a quantity. It might also be used to help identify someone who does not have a birth certificate or to allow someone to visit a restricted website without having to disclose their date of birth. Furthermore, it might provide proof of a cryptocurrency transaction without disclosing the amount. Bitcoin is and will always be too public for me. Go Zcash. Thank you for respecting your privacy. And here's to a hopefully disappearing targeted advertising sector. The next future technology on this list is YOLO v5. Real-time object detection is a method for detecting things in the video. It's the basic technology powering, well, pretty much everything we want to use in the future, from self-driving cars to cashier-less businesses. Some of the most adaptable and well-known real-time object identification and labeling methods are referred to as YOLO, you only look once. This breakthrough is significant because it implies that we will soon be able to perform true real-time analysis, recognizing and labeling videos 140 times per second. Previous models struggled to achieve 10 frames per second. At this rate, AI can be used for videos from sectors as diverse as medicine and sports. It can also help autonomous cars spot impediments earlier, preventing even more collisions. It's a huge deal, but you won't read about it in the press. 4D printing. The term 4D printing can be misleading. I am not proposing that humans will be able to create and access another dimension. Only Rubik can do that. Simply put, a 4D printed product is a 3D printed object that can change attributes when subjected to specific stimuli, submerged underwater, heated, shaken, not stirred. The fourth D is hence time, the amount of time required for the stimulus to be relevant. The applications are still being debated, but some potentially interesting areas include healthcare, pills that only activate when the body reaches a particular temperature, fashion, clothing that tightens in low temperatures, and homemaking furniture that becomes rigid under a certain stimulus. Another fascinating application is computational folding, which allows items larger than printers to be produced in a single piece. We've come to the end of this video. Which of these future technologies are you looking forward to? You can drop your thoughts in the comment section. I think the robotic bees will be fascinating. As always, make sure you like and share this video. Also subscribe to this channel and turn on your notification post. See you in the next video coming up.